Okay, so then what happened with the groups? You brought in meditation and you might have brought in, how did you start NUSHU and just healing through community? Because community is one of our pillars at Made to Thrive, and not only community, but multiple communities that form within the community of your life that bring healing in different facets, of this incredible human being that we are. But just, continue the story in terms of the group and NUSHU.
Yeah. So once I started to look in my inner landscape, and, I'm a very curious person. So I was listening to podcasts, I was reading books, I was looking up healers, I was reading one led me to the next, led me to the next, led me to the next. So I started really exploring this whole world of mental health and knowing yourself and healing. And it gave me so much energy that I said, I have to do something. And I didn't know what it was. And I said, well, let me just do one thing. Let me bring in one meditation teacher and invite a couple of people. Let me bring in one person to come talk about conscious parenting. That was Dr. Shafali. She came in and talked to a group of women I know. I think when you have an idea, you start where you are, which is what I did. I started with the people I knew, and I found the people who were willing to come, and I just started. And what started to happen was these speakers would come in and they would say, oh, you're in New York. You're on the Upper East Side of New York. And they would take one look at me and my home and my people, and they'd be like, these are very closed people. There's no way that these people will be kind of honest and open and vulnerable in this space. And they came in and they were like, oh, these women are really open and honest and vulnerable. And they were like, what are you doing? And I thought, I don't really know. I don't really know what I'm doing. And then I realized, oh, I think I'm leading with my vulnerability. I started this group of women by saying, hey, you thought my life was perfect, but let me tell you, it imploded. And I didn't tell anyone, and I was completely alone. And I need to tell my story to all of you. And I think people were shocked, and I brought them in on that basis. And so I kept bringing people in, and I kept bringing teachers to this group of people. And I realized there's something happening here where people feel safe to actually take off those masks, to not pretend, so that they don't feel judged, where they can actually show up honestly, where they can actually connect with people. And what I did was I looked at what had happened and what the dynamic was, and I started to reverse engineer it and say, what are the conditions that needed to be present for this to happen? And in that, I developed a group where I put those conditions in place. I set out explicit guidelines. I showed people how to be in that space. And I said, you know what, we don't actually even need that teacher in this space. We are our teachers, because if all we're trying to do is to know ourselves, what we need is a space where we can be honest, say it out loud, have it be witnessed, and have that just space held to develop the practice of knowing ourselves. And so I started in my living room with a couple of friends, my first NUSHU group, and I facilitated it. And fast forward, I've done a bunch of facilitator trainings and held lots of NUSHU groups, and teach a course called How to Hold Space. And really, fundamentally helping people understand that the process of healing is about creating spaces and people who can be mirrors, who can hold, but that the answers ultimately are in you, and that you have to open your eyes to see, you have to create clarity for yourself, and that no one else can really do that for you.